Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. I'm Olga. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you so much for following me. I always mention I never refer to anybody as followers. It's really your voices. So thank you. Thank you so much for adding your voice to our conversation on X, on YouTube, on Facebook, but mostly on X. I really wholeheartedly appreciate you. I see your messages, I see your likes, I see your retweets, I see you sharing, among your followers and your friends to subscribe and follow. And I really appreciate you. Every single message, every single person, I really see it, and it really makes my day because I work 24/7. I'm a crazy person. I'm really passionate about democracy and facts and presenting the facts and communicating them and really without delay. So you really made my day if you recognize it. So thank you so much. By the way, you can comment and I'll see it right away. Hi, Olga. Hi, Sue. Hello. Oh, so I see comments on X. Thank you so much for letting me know. I didn't know that, I will see it here, but thank you so much. If you have any suggestions, and I always say, if you have any facts that contradict anything I'm saying, please comment. I will address it. I will do proper research and I gladly stay corrected. If you do have feelings to share, like calling me names or calling any elected official a name or whatever, unfortunately, I will not reply to you and I'll hide your reply because I'm not a certified psychiatrist and I cannot help you with your condition. So on this note, I went live on Monday last time, so I would love to take you through everything that did happen up until now. Apologies for slight delay. I was just reading the report from Downing Street because President is literally now meeting at the Oval Office with the new Prime Minister of United Kingdom. And so I received a letter as to what they will be discussing. And so I will read it out to you and we will discuss it towards the end of this live stream, which I think then time-wise will be more appropriate as the meeting will be done by that time. So let's just start. It's chronological order, plus minus. And we'll start first with the letter that really sort of I didn't expect. And I thought, is it necessary? I guess it was, but then it wasn't really recognized as something that is very revealing. I'm talking about President's doctor, first and foremost, issuing a letter to Karine Jean-Pierre, which is, of course, White House press secretary. And he described this whole situation that the MAGA side or Republican side or liberal side, by the way, depicted as 8 times there were neurologists going in and out of the White House, and Biden has Parkinson's and he has like schizophrenia and everything, every disease you can really pinpoint to. And I guess Parkinson's is what they know, and dementia. So it's, although they can't spell dementia half the time, but, and then the doctor issued the letter. I'm not going to read it out to you, but the doctor explained that there are other people getting treatment at the White House complex. And those people work for Pentagon, they're military personnel, and also up there in the level. So you can't really, although this administration, not the previous one, this one releases the docs as to who goes in and out the White House complex. So that's how the media got that information. But they cannot release the names or the reasons or who was being treated. But certainly, Karine Jean-Pierre, White House press secretary, stated it wasn't Biden. He saw a neurologist for this annual exam. And so that's what the doctor stated. He also repeated in this letter that no, Biden does not have any any diseases to pinpoint to, nor he takes any medication for, any treatment of Parkinson's or whatnot. But it really reminded me on another person that supposedly had to have Parkinson's. And yes, I'm talking about Hillary Clinton. And look at the pictures that are being used. I'm honestly, I'm a bad, I guess, press person. I'm reverse. Like, why would you do this? This is disgusting, but okay. And this is, mind you, this is fact checked. A montage of photos and video clips of Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton demonstrated that she had symptoms of Parkinson's disease. This was September 8th, 2016. So now, 8 years later, I guess Hillary's healed and everything is back to normal. So do we need to go there? And this is my question for liberal media, because I don't even see Magadoon or MAGA side doing that, because you're doing the work for them. So I'm not even wondering why Trump is reappearing once. And by the way, we're going to review the rally. We're going to watch the videos. We're going to discuss it with passion and suggest everything. Okay? And Barron being introduced, we'll talk about it. But my point is, why are we wondering why Trump is not exiting his premises after stating that there were black jobs and all this nonsense? He will go with the audiences, right? And if it's a rally once in 10 days, okay. And then he's golfing around because you are doing the dirty work for him. This, what I wrote today, I really do not understand that the Democratic side is so strong and so clueless about the strength that you possess in your candidate who achieved a lot, who is doing a lot, who is seen as a leader on the world stage, on the global arena, who has a plan as to what he wants to do. And you want to really harass him? Meanwhile, the other side has none of it. None of it. But what they do have is a backbone. They're sticking with this fella through thick and thin and in between. And through all these disgusting comments and through all this nonsense that he says, nobody asks for any medical proof or any medical report or what's going on with him. This is what I really do not understand. Okay, some comments here. Hi, Olga. Thanks for reporting. Thank you so much, Gail. I really, really appreciate you, Sue. But liberal media is owned by conservatives now. To your point, absolutely. And that did happen years ago, because we see the results now. It's the same thing as, when I talk to anybody who's Republican and they're like, well, the life under Trump was so much better and the tax was so much better. You do not understand that if there aren't any changes into tax codes, they are appearing years later. You will feel it later. The same story is here. This was bought years ago, but we did overlook it because nobody told us to look that way. And now everybody is taught to look a certain way, right? And at this point, I have no other word than to call whatever is happening in the media propaganda. I'm sorry. I understand freedom of speech. I also understand quality reporting. And I also do for a fact understand that every single outlet gets the exact same factual information that I do get. I'm really last in line. I'm nothing special, but I'm getting these facts and I'm reporting on them. Where do you get them? Where do they get lost? Because so much has happened. Okay, before I start my rant here, so let's now talk about the approval, right, and the support, official endorsements that the Biden-Harris campaign has received for a fact. Okay, so first things first. Hispanic caucus stands with Biden. I'm not sure if you have heard about it. I don't think I reported even on it, but this is a couple of days ago. So I think, guesstimating, this was Monday evening. They said, we stand with President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. For the last year and a half, the Biden-Harris administration partnered with the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Initiative to take CHC on the road. Through that initiative, we have worked to empower Latino communities across the country. Just last week, the CHC was on the road with First Lady Dr. Jill Biden. Okay, so you can read that statement. I will share that statement later. So they had approval, received official approval from the Hispanic caucus. The next thing was Mayor's Association, and they put it up there on X and all over social media. Also, several Democratic mayors have issued statements. They also went on television, because I do receive all the reports from Biden-Harris press team as to who said what and where. So there was a lot of talk about it, unless it was hidden in the media. Okay, so they said the stakes for this election could not be higher, and the choice could not be more clear. We need a president and vice president who will champion working families, defend our democracy, and protect our freedoms. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are that president and vice president, and President Biden showed tonight that he is fully committed to working with us to defeat Donald Trump once and for all. Also, when I see the statements that the Democratic mayors have put out, they also praised Biden for having a plan, exact plan as to first how to defeat Trump, and second, what he plans on doing in the next 4 years of the new administration, right? So some comments again. Barbara. Okay, we had that. I guess somebody else commented, Barbara, yes, I saw a list of them having donated to Trump in the last year. I guess I'm just reporting what did happen through the past 2 days. I don't want to add my opinion at this point. I will add my opinion, more than enough, okay? So then the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organizations had to read it. And by the way, if I look down, I'm just reading it to stay on track and stay factual. I reported it this morning. So this morning, President Biden traveled to their headquarters and spoke to them in DC before going to NATO and meeting the world leaders. They greeted Biden by saying, "Welcome, Mr. President. This is your home," and then adding that we have your back. And then President Biden spoke. He said, "You're the ones beyond me. It's all about whether or not we're going to grow the economy and give working people a shot." And I want to share a video of Biden actually underlining the importance of union labor. So take a look.
Is growing the country. No, we're the fastest growing economy in the world. That's a fact. We're the strongest economy in the world. But here's what we got to do. We got to talk to our people. Food prices are still too high because of corporate greed. We're in a situation where rents are too high. We need more housing. A whole range of things we're going to get done with your help in the second term, because that's what we got to get done. So, folks, I've never been more optimistic about America's chances, not because of me, but because of what we're doing together. I really mean it. We're better positioned than any country in the world to own the remainder of the 21st century because of union labor.
And I'm telling you, so many international reporters who are currently in DC for NATO summit are, calling it like a death thing and Death Valley in DC, because everybody is so suffering from the heat and this crazy weather and the heat wave. And by the way, Biden looks great. If I looked like that, working as much at my age, not at 81, I'd be happy. And this is really not any propaganda on my end. Honestly, looks great. Talks well. Now let's cover really quick the press conference at the White House that happened yesterday. And I went back and forth as to showing you the clips, not showing you the clips, because 99.9% was all about the debate. Is Biden going to survive? Can he say that he's going to live through the next 4 years? And like all the stories as to why Jill Biden, First Lady Dr. Biden, did not ask him or did not demand him to be seen by the doctor after the debate, and all this nonsense. So I decided not to popularize those clips. I shared them on X. If you want to watch them, watch them. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre did a tremendous job. She did not snap. She answered every single question. She did not skip any reporter. She really went into answering in detail every single question, although all of them, except for one question about NATO and another question about AI threats from Russia, were all about the debate and health and him being Parkinson patient. Okay, so first, the White House shared yesterday that they had a slight delay of the press briefing because Biden was helping Texans affected by Hurricane Beryl, and it took an hour and some finding anybody to speak to. And it was such a big disaster, honestly, because the governor could not be found because he's in South Korea on his sales trip. Read on it. Um, then he couldn't find any deputy. And then finally, he got a hold of. And by the way, the mayors kept calling the White House, complaining and asking for help because they were running out of money and resources, right? So finally, Oval Office gets a hold of the government ish in Texas, whoever could be in the position to even accept the help and money and talk to FEMA. And then while on the phone, President Biden approved the aid and made sure that he does not hang up, and Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre does not leave the Oval Office until the aid is really literally flowing. So that's why the press had to wait over an hour to start the press briefing. And it was reported that, again, White House is so lazy. And even in poll reports, Biden has only one thing on his agenda today. And all this, very kind of like edgy things that like I decide what I report on, I decide what I not don't report on, so I create a certain picture. I do not appreciate it, nor I do it myself, but whatever, to everybody their own. Then it was shared that Biden will be meeting with Zelensky. It's a bilateral meeting, same as his meeting today with the new Prime Minister of the UK at the Oval Office tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. I will report on that as well. Then there were again questions on the bad night or Biden having a whole issue with health. Then asking Karine, press secretary, to apologize for previous statements. And they even brought up events from a year ago where Biden skipped dinner while being overseas. How is this relevant? Why are we wasting time? Okay. And then ultimately, Karine shared that president is more determined than ever to get the job done. And then there was a reporter from Fox News, Ducey, whom you probably know. He asked a question, which is, and I didn't want to cut it out, don't want to waste time. But the question was, if we're nuked at 11 p.m., who is going to accept the call at the White House? This is going to be First Lady because it's like after 8 p.m. First of all, if we're nuked, who's accepting a call? This is really, honestly, I work for UN Security Council. This is really insulting to anybody's intelligence to even say that. And then go with this whole notion, oh, First Lady will accept it. There is no Pentagon. There is no Biden. There's nobody. Oh, we just make up. It's not a reality show. Dear media, this is not a reality show. This is reality that is turning into a shit show on a global scale. Now we have invited everybody to DC to witness this. And guess what? Today, and I'm going to show you the NATO footage a bit later, but today they posed for this, as they call it, family picture. So Biden and Secretary General Stoltenberg were greeting one by one, everybody, 31 people, and then they all posed for a family picture. And US media, which is very restricted, by the way, in numbers to cover the NATO and today's state dinner, which is not good for me, but good, I guess, for the White House. It's only those who really have to be there, who are not rotating in the poll. It's really AP and Reuters and I think New York Times, but third, maybe it's AP, not AP. I'll report on it. If that's of an interest to you, I'll share it. But there's 3 spots that never rotate. So they're reporting. And somebody screamed, are you going to answer to Pelosi, who asked you to step down? All the leaders like, what the hell is going on? Reality show? Reality that turns into a shit show. Another comment. I'm so upset. One debate and Democrats like rats scatter. Democrats need to grow spines and realize debates don't decide elections. Yes, and you're from Zag After. Hello. So I'm upset as much. For me, it doesn't really matter. If we had a regular election where it is between Republican and a Democrat, and it would be a different type of coverage, right? I wish I wouldn't have to tell you about Project 2025. I wish I wouldn't have to scare you with everything that's in it, but it is truth. And so we have to consider it and we have to discuss it. And also, we have a candidate like never before. This is not Bush. This is not, somebody who we kind of like used to. This is not Gore. Like, so we have to cover it the way it deserves to be covered. Thank you for your reporting. Thank you so much for reading the reports. Without you guys reading, this would be just me typing nonstop. That would be obnoxious. So we see how Biden is treated, or the administration is treated at the White House press room. But don't you remember that video about somebody who allegedly was the biggest victim when it came to press?
I am greeted with a hostile press, the likes of which no president has ever seen. The closest would be that gentleman right up there. They always said Lincoln, nobody got treated worse than Lincoln. I believe I am treated worse. You're there, you see those press conferences. They come at me with questions that are disgraceful, to be honest, disgraceful. Their manner of presentation and their words.
Yeah. So President worked yesterday till 11:40 p.m., which was so, my tweet sort of went viral, was on Fox and all, they called me everything. So, but it went viral about today, his schedule being from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. But yesterday he finished working at 11:40 was the last report. So it was still calling. That was about the Democratic Mayors Association. And so he really wanted to make sure that they get the endorsement. And so that VP can share it today because she flew and she was on the road in Texas as well. Speaking of VP, she was meeting today. She spoke in Dallas, Texas. I presented a full report. It's a bit too long for me to recite now, but it really goes into helping women postpartum. For instance, it extends Medicare from 2 months to 12 months postpartum. So if you are interested, and I truly encourage you to read about it, even if you're not in that position or in direct interest, but read it. I shared it. It's on onestnetwork.com, my website. It was really too long to put in a tweet, so go through it because maybe you have some people who can benefit from that knowledge, because I don't see this being covered. Okay, he is podium. Yeah, I'm just reading, some comments here. So also what BP did, and this is really cool because I love sports. Maybe you love NBA and basketball and all this, Olympic Games are coming very soon. So VP traveled and met Team USA basketball at their practice facility. So take a look. That was a very long video. Wait a second. Where is my picture go? So here's the picture. And by the way, thank you for asking. It's Onest, O-N-E-S-T. I can share the story, how it all started. If you're interested, comment and I'll share it with you next time. Otherwise, I don't want to bore you. But the idea is O-N-E-S-T is, of course, my name, but also honest, because I wanted to be honest and truthful. So Onest Network without the H, onestnetwork.com. So here's the picture. Here you see LeBron. LeBron, by the way, said it was fabulous meeting our VP. Steph Curry, you see here, and all the stars, and she wished them well and the best of luck and success in Paris and beat Canada and get the gold. So this was really cool and really cute that she found the time to do so. Of course, our First Lady traveled on Monday to 3 states in the same day. I shared it, so if you want to see the footage from there, you can watch it in my previous live stream. So now let's talk about trolls on Twitter. And I really want to show you using case studies, how framing is done, how pushing a narrative is done. So next time you see something like a tweet, you will know exactly what is happening. So on this note, here we go. So you see Stephen King here. He said Joe Biden has been a fine president, but it's time for him, in the interest of America, he so clearly loves, to announce he will not run for re-election. which is, whatever that is in it on its own. But here's what Musk does. He says even Stephen King is voting for Trump. And because he comments, and by the way, if you are an IT person, you see how weirdly it is actually programmed that everything is on the left, all these results you see here. Yeah. There. Yeah. So, by the way, so when he comments, that tweet, Stephen King's tweet, gets pushed more. So see, now it accumulates 5.3 million. And this was a day ago or even more. So this is not the latest stat there as well. But what is done here, just because Musk comments on it, it gets pushed. And that's how the narrative gets pushed. And the narrative here is that, look, the most liberal person, Stephen King, that hates Musk, agrees with him finally. So we all united as a country against it. So just see through for what this is. Now, when it comes to Musk, I would be actually worried about something else. I'm not sure you heard that X stalls at 250 million daily users, while Threads plays a catch up. And by the way, I noticed on my end that Threads somehow goes viral now and the videos get so many views. I wasn't honestly even sure that I was posting there, just because I post on Facebook. I guess it like reposts automatically. But X's daily active user growth has plummeted from roughly 30% annually just a few years ago in 2020 to less than 2% in 2024, according to new data from X reported by the Financial Times. In the past year, X only saw 1.6% daily active user growth and has roughly 251 million daily users, according to report. So maybe that is something that should be discussed instead of pushing the narrative and, trying to play politics. If you're good in business, and that's a question on its own, maybe be professional there. You might also be great in politics, but what you're doing, we kind of see what you're doing. So commenting on something and pushing the narrative is very often done on all social media, not just on X, but here, just because you have the owner with the biggest platform of his own inside the platform he owns, that's where it becomes really vivid. Now, another platform that is less than even that lucky is CNN. So CNN, after announcing that they have the lowest rankings or ratings within the last 33 years, today they announced that they're cutting 100 jobs. We don't know who that will be. Is that management? Is that the CEO? Is that moderators from the debate? Who knows? I don't think it's them. It probably will be those who had absolutely nothing to do with narrative, but will have to suffer and get the cut. I guess that's what it's going to be. Oh, you just commented exactly that. Yeah, CNN cutting 100 jobs, MSNBC losing viewers. The mainstream media has attacked Biden constantly. Every Democrat who goes against Biden needs to be primaried and lose their jobs. Yeah, and honestly, everybody decides. If you don't tune in somewhere, then they cannot collect you and your household in their statistics, right? Because what we usually do, or what we used to do, is running TV, right? Just in the background. You do your own thing and TV is running. You're still counted, right? So just be mindful and just be wise if that is what you want to do and contribute to. So next thing, what I want to do, I've never done dissecting anybody's tweet who was tweeting against me or whatnot, because I'm former pro athlete, a diplomat. Like, you can't really make me scream or get me, all this emotional, because I really try to stay focused on what we're discussing right now. But I want to show you, because this person is quite important, right? This is not personal attack or anything of that nature. This is something that I want you to see how less than prepared media personalities are when they decide to push a narrative. Okay? So we're talking here about Julius Kim. I have no hate against Julius Kim. I don't even know who he is. And I have all the respect for everything he's done. Defense attorney, former prosecutor, legal analyst, CNN, NPR, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, all that. This is everything we consume. Now, he tweets this. All this vitriol and following, trash talking, blocking going on. Honestly, we look like idiots to the other side, and they're relishing it. I agree. Then he says, before you say or do something impulsively that you may regret, and to people who have shown their strong Democratic supporters or Trump haters, make sure you remember to see the forest through the trees. It's really not about candidate. It's about keeping Trump out of the White House. And then he pushes the narrative that Biden has to be stepping away or has to step away, and a new candidate has to come in. So that's what I comment here. I said, emotions and opinions aside, can a new candidate be on a ballot in all states with all votes counted if they were to enter the race now? Yes or no? He says, stop it. I'm riding with Biden. See, you've entered the forbidden zone by even asking. LOL. Your question is exactly why conversations need to be had. Everyone is making assumptions. That's too late. I'm not talking out of their butts. And I said, well, I asked a clear question, specifically avoiding emotions and opinions. You rattled a whole paragraph of emotions as a response without analyzing who I am. Please answer yes or no. And please read on election procedures prior. He says, I'm not sure you understand my humor, but you too can also research the answer being a journalist, I suppose. LOL. I said, what is the answer for the third time? Yes or no? He says, the answer is, I'm not positive. But I hope you are doing your research and due diligence via Twitter. And I said, thanks. And then he liked the thanks. My point is, this is not a personal beef or whatever. By the way, this is Sunshine, New York. Things happen. Just listen to me. Don't look at me, whatever. Sunshine. Yeah. Anyway, so my point is, he is pushing the narrative that Biden has to step away. He's saying he's a Democrat. We're all Democrats. We have to defeat Trump. And that's why Biden has to stick it up and just go. Sitting president. And when he's asked whether a new candidate would be on a ballot, we're not even talking about winning, be on a ballot in all states, because I know for a fact in 3 battleground states, they're not going to be on the ballot to begin with. And in one state, they're not good at this point in time in the election, right? And in one state, they can be on the ballot and the votes won't count. So knowing that or not being positive enough, why are you using your platform, which is big? Why are you using your platform to push this narrative if you know your party will definitely lose if we do this? So if you're not positive enough, if you are a journalist, which I guess hope you are, an attorney and prosecutor, all of this, research, okay? And so when somebody, even as a Democrat, even as anything, pushes some sort of narrative, always question yourself, is there a ground for it? Can somebody even be on a ballot? We're not even talking about winning. Okay, moving on to the mega side, ultra mega side. Holly was at NetCon. Just watch first.
Some will say now that I am calling America a Christian nation. And so I am. And some will say that I am advocating Christian nationalism. And so I do.
Some might say I suck, so I do. Yikes, big yikes. I don't even want to get there. It's just big yikes. But what does it do? Here, it gathers all the response. Keep fighting the good fight. As a retired U.S. Air Force special agent, I fully enjoy your congressional inquiries. Whether this person even served or not, because anybody can write anything on Twitter. I can say that I'm blonde and fabulous, look like a Barbie. Who cares? And by the way, this is really annoying. That person yesterday was so cute. Somebody said, can you prove that you're real? Because in this day and age, I don't know before I share you or follow you. And I said, look, I go live, like I'm a real person. But it's actually sad that in this day and age, we have to ask this question. But I took it in the most positive way. But my point is, this person is an elected official serving the country. He's speaking out. He's not hiding it. Is media talking about it? Are we talking about it? Are we talking how scary that is? Are we talking to minorities and communities who are not Christian? What life would be like for them if these folks came to power? Are we doing due diligence, highlighting it? And that's my question. But I want to share something, some news that were like interesting today. You know, Supreme Court made this interesting decision about immunity, and today came out this news. Clarence Thomas, Justice, Supreme Court Justice, took free yacht trips to Russia, chopper flight to Putin's hometown. This came out today, July 10th. And so it's written that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has been accused of not disclosing a yacht trip to Russia and private helicopter flight to a palace in President Putin's hometown. If you've ever seen that hometown, it's just the palace. There's no town, it's just the palace. The palace is the town. Among other gifts and loans from businessman Harlan Crow. Buried on page 14 of a letter that two Democratic senators sent to Attorney General Merrick Garland on Tuesday, in which they urged Garland to appoint a special counsel to probe Thomas, was an astonishing list of dozens of likely undisclosed gifts and income from Crow, Crow's affiliated companies, and other donors. And if you think that this is the only person accepting Russian gifts, I have this for you. Ivanka Trump is building a luxury resort in the Balkans. And Olga, and by the way, if you don't follow Olga NYC1211, she's doing proper research on anything that is concerning Russia, Ukraine, corruption. Like, follow her. She is most knowledgeable about the Russian corruption and effect on the United States. So she shared that Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner are building a luxury resort in Albania that will be managed by Aman Resorts, owned by Russian businessman Vladislav Doronin. A reminder that Doronin, among other things, is also Blavatnik's partner, frontman for Kremlin. Of course, Ivanka Kushner continue to take Russian money. But they're not serving on a Supreme Court, making the decisions, giving the next president, by the way, the current one too, who doesn't want to use it, immunity to do anything in an official way. Have you heard, and I want to ask you by now, because that came out today, have you heard all that about Justice Thomas? Has that been reported today, aside from that article? Holy, the human shit stain. Yeah, so have you heard? Please comment if you did, because I personally have not, but I live in my bubble where I report, like, I'm more here from White House and State Department than anybody else, literally. So this is my bubble. But have you heard of it? Because that's concerning, to say the least. And also, when we talk about, I want to shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about bullies, and let's stick with MAGA for a second. So we talked about Holly. You called him a shit stain. Yes. Ultra-conservative, pushing that narrative. Now, there was this person, Laura Loomer, yes. I have not known what she is because, again, I live in my bubble, right, in my factual bubble. So she's an American political activist and personality. She has been described as anti-Muslim, white nationalist, conspiracy theorist. She ran for congressional, to represent several congressional districts in Florida, lost both times. So she posted the most disgusting things about Biden and about, like, I hope that Jill will see Biden rot and that she deserves that. All of this nonsense, like disgusting stuff. And then there is this video how somebody found a way to deal with her. So I really want you to watch it.
What's she saying? I can't understand her. What?
That is why
What's
he
she?
is censoring and shadow banning.
How about it down? 12 and a half, 15, 7 and a half, $20, 2 and a half, 5, 7 and a half, 30. Hit $30 down here, 2 and a half, 5, 35, 7 and a half, 40. Hit $40, 2 and a half, 5, 45, 7 and a half, 50. Hit $50 down here, 2 and a half.
Officer, will you escort this young lady out, please?
Hit 2 and a half and now 5, 65, 7 and a half, 70. What, 2.5 now, 5.75, 7.5, $80 to 5, 85.90. $100 and a 10, 10, 10, a quarter, 1 1/4, 1.5 to divide to 2, 2 1/4. It 2.5 to divide 3, equal to bond 300. It 3 1/4. Cut 3 1/4 now, half, 3.5 to divide 400. Yeah, but a 4, 4 1/4, 4.5. We're selling the cell phone there, 4 1/4, 4.5. It 4.5, 475, 505, 5 1/4, 5.5. I yield back.
Yeah, that's a way to do it. I couldn't do it if I even wanted to try to, but that was funny. I guess when we stop having a conversation, even a heated one, but we go into trolling, I guess it deserves a trolling response. So he met the moment. So as to the previous story about justice, I did hear the story on the internet. My brother, who follows the news, but it's not on social media, did not hear about it. Okay, thank you. A debate gets more news than Epstein files. Yes, Trump saying Hannibal Lecter. We talk about it in a second. Yes. Sue, shared about the wiki. Yeah, that's what I was reading out to. Never heard of, but whatever that is. So, and we're going to talk about Trump too. And Epstein files, by the way, I saw requests for me to cover it. Honestly, I tried to skip it because I'm somebody who faced such issues, abuse and all. I will. It deserves, and we will. I just have to figure out, and maybe you can help me how to phrase it so we're not getting banned all over social media. But we need to talk about it, and it needs to be said. And I understand that those lawsuits did not proceed, but we do know when a rich person gets sued by a poor person. When it doesn't proceed and what the reason behind it let's be realistic, but I will cover it. So now let's shift from not a police, but if somebody tries to frame you, right, or frame a conversation, let's take a look at something that happened way earlier when Pete Buttigieg was asked by Fox News to talk about abortion and see how he flipped the narrative. Take a look.
Pete completely dismantles the question on late-term abortions live on Fox News, and notice how quickly the host changes the subject at the end.
And I guess the question is, do you believe at any point in pregnancy, whether it's at 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 24 weeks or whenever, that there should be any limit on a woman's right to have an abortion?
I think the dialogue has got so caught up on where you draw the line that we've gotten away from the fundamental question of who gets to draw the line. And I trust women to draw the line when it's their own life.
So just to be clear, you're saying that you would be okay with a woman well into the 3rd trimester deciding to abort her pregnancy?
Look, these hypotheticals are usually set up in order to provoke a strong emotional...
But in fairness, all right, so it's not hypothetical. There's 6,000 women a year who get abortions in the 3rd
That's right,
trimester.
Representing less than 1% of cases.
I know,
but
let's take pregnancy.
Let's take ourselves in... So let's put ourselves in the shoes of a woman in that situation. If it's that late in your pregnancy, that means almost by definition, you've been expecting to carry it to term. We're talking about women who have perhaps chosen a name, women who have purchased a crib, families that then get the most devastating medical news of their lifetime, something about the health or the life of the mother that forces them to make an impossible, unthinkable choice. And the bottom line is, as horrible as that choice is, that woman, that family may seek spiritual guidance, they may seek medical guidance, but that decision is not going to be made any better, medically or morally, because the government is dictating how that decision should be made.
And that's how you do it, okay? This was sassy, but it was still contained. Now, if you do possess as much sass as this young lady, then you can also debunk them this way. Take a look.
We're now at a point in time where people are talking about Biden is too old. Hell, I'm older than Biden.
Come on now. You look good, Congresswoman.
And I get up every morning.
All right.
And I exercise.
All right.
And I work late hours.
All right.
I take care of black people.
All right.
Trump has told you who he is. He defined himself. He is a no good, deplorable, lying, despicable human being. And he's talking about if he doesn't win, there's going to be a bloodbath. There's going to be violence. There's going to be a civil war. Who the hell do you think he's coming after? Who's going to be targeted? Who is he talking about? But you know he means business because he is the one that led the invasion on the Capitol January 6th. He's the one that caused his people, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, the QAnons, the KKK, they were all out there under his leadership. They attacked us, all of us. They took the American flag with the pole and they beat our Capitol Guards with them. Now, do we have to talk about the difference between these two? Now, I want to tell you, no matter what anybody says, it ain't gonna be no other Democratic candidate. It's gonna be Biden, and we better know it.
Jesse, I love it. I really love it. I hope you could hear it because the sound was a bit lower in this clip. But Don Lemon shared it. I'm grateful for it. That's how I saw it. But let's review some comments because I saw some comments on abortion, I think, because I don't want to move in. Olga's my new hero. Oh, thank you so much. I'm loving you. Made it my day. Okay. I love Pete. Yes. Sue says late-term abortions only happen when the fetus is not viable. In other words, the fetus is not alive anymore. Yep. But because of some laws, the woman is compelled to deliver the fetus full term, even if it threatens her life. Also to the point where in Missouri, I think, to the first 5 months when the full abortion or complete ban went into power, women even who experienced cancer that caused a positive test result as if she was pregnant, they could not be operated to get the cancer out because it would have been considered as abortion. So there's some wild cases, and one woman actually, she runs for office because she was one of such patients and had to travel to New York and get treated. So I think there will be quite some people who personally feel for it and who will make that a case, and I truly hope so. Pete is extremely smart. I love her. Yep. So the lady is fantastic. But now let's go back to sort of quite normal. Bernie Sanders was on CNN. He talked to Caitlin Collins. She again pushed the narrative that Biden has to step down and he's old and whatnot. And I don't understand, if you push this narrative, why did you invite Sanders?
Assured by what he said to you in that conversation?
This is what I think, Caitlin. I think that President Biden has stood up for the working class of this country probably more strongly than any president in modern history. I think he had a terrible debate. Nobody disagrees with that. I think he's been doing better since that debate. I think he's got to get out there. He's got to talk to people. He has a press conference on Thursday. People will see how he does. In my opinion, all right, I think that he has the ability to be an excellent president. But what we need right now in that campaign is an agenda that speaks to the next 4 years. People are hurting. You can't just say, hey.
We have an agenda, and he talks about it all the time. And if you have not heard an agenda, you tell me, I'll post it. Because I feel like I'm bothering already people with a lot of news. But we do have an agenda. He speaks about it all the time. And yes, I'm looking forward to the debate tomorrow, which, by the way, press conference tomorrow, which, by the way, will be hosted on NATO summit premises, which will only let press who is accredited, to cover NATO summit, to go in and ask questions. So it's not handled at the White House. It's not handled by the White House press corps. It's handled within the NATO. So for that reason, we will see how I guesstimate there will be international reporters asking questions, and I'm looking forward to him answering such questions. The last thing, what I would honestly love to see is a deja vu from Karine Jean-Pierre's press briefing, because neither Biden nor her deserve it, but he had to face it. So another thing that I want to share, let's switch more to Trump. Let's talk about the rally, and then we go into NATO and what happened today, and then I share about the bilateral meeting between President Biden, and UK's PM. So another story, I'm not sure if you have heard that, but Trump is now working with the Firefest, Billy McFarland, on the campaign. So Billy is organizing Trump's meetings with rappers and celebrities. So we saw Biden meeting such folks before, which is great, but that's who works on it. If you don't know who Billy McFarland is. So the news article goes, former president and convicted felon Donald Trump has sought the help of Firefest founder and fellow convicted felon Billy McFarland for his 2024 presidential campaign, reports Rolling Stone. Though he has no formal role in the campaign, McFarland has been part of Trump's effort to appeal to Black voters, helping to connect the Republican hopeful with rappers on at least 2 occasions. One of those meetings resulted in a public appearance from Brooklyn rappers Chef G and Sleepy Hallow at Trump's recent campaign rally in the Bronx. What I do know that a lot of reporters, independent reporters, tried to cover the rally in the Bronx, reporters who are based in New York and New Jersey. Nobody was let in. Nobody would get even a reply or would get immediate denial. So it was either or. Nobody could actually go there and cover. So they really only invite press that they want to cover. Also, when you read, Project 2025, only people, there's a whole thing to fire 50,000 federal employees and only accept those who will swear that the 2020 election was stolen. So this will be sort of a method to be sworn in. Oh, that's going to piss off the press corps. Yep. Yeah, that's about the press conference. I heard that about Firefest guy. That's hilarious, waiting to see what rappers don't show up. Yeah, but sometimes they do. Like, for instance, at the RNC convention, what's her name? The blonde one that was married to, she's a rapper, Rose, yes? She's speaking. She's a speaker at the RNC convention. I'll share about it. I don't want to, Rose. Amber Rose. Yes. Thank you so much. She's a speaker at the RNC convention. Haley is also a speaker at the convention, and she volunteered for Trump. And I think I have something to report on it as well. So let's talk about Trump. Oh yeah, Haley here. See, good thing I have a list. Here you go. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley is releasing all of her 97 delegates and urging them to vote for Donald Trump at next week's Republican National Convention. The nominating convention is a time for Republican unity, Haley will say in a statement. We need a president who will hold our enemies to account, secure our border, cut our debt, and get our economy back on track. I encourage my delegates to support Donald Trump next week in Milwaukee. We heard Haley before. We thought she will be, if she was chosen to be actually Trump's VP, that would be dangerous. I guesstimate it will be somebody who will be representing Hispanic demographic, just because if you listen to the Congress Johnson, who today introduced a bill sort of hinting on concentration camps and deporting up to 14 million Hispanic people from the US, because that will be the game plan. We have to cleanse our country and all of this. I guess to cover it up or to set the fundamental basis for this introduction of those bills, which they want to do also without congressional approval. I guess the VP would be that person. But that's just again, this is opinion. Okay, this is not a fact. This is my opinion and my guesstimation. So take it for what it is. I'm not promising it to you. This is just my thought. But Haley is supposedly not invited to attend RNC. I guess we'll see tomorrow. Well, Amber Rose is. So bad for Haley then. you lost to Ambrose. So let's talk about the rally. First of all, Trump was late. This was in Doral, Florida, in Miami, or near my part of Miami, I guess, where people waited. It was 97 degrees, no shade, no nothing. They kept waiting for hours and hours and hours, and that's what it looked like. Stay alive, stay hydrated, and then stay with Trump. So Trump spoke. Here's a little clip.
We were tough on it, and we would not have Russian warships and nuclear submarines surrounding Cuba 60 miles off our coast. You know that, right? For all of you people in Cuba, congratulations. You're now being protected by Russia. Congratulations. Can you imagine that the press, the fake news, those people, they don't even talk about it. We have nuclear submarines and 5 warships in Cuba, and they don't even talk about it.
Thank you, former President Trump. I want to talk about those submarines. Finally, you give me a chance. Take a look at the submarines. Please pay attention to a few things. It's a video of submarines. There was 1 submarine and 2 tugboats. Why, you would ask? Good question. The submarine could not function, had to be tugged. Yeah. Also, I want you to pay attention when you watch this clip now from AP. On the sides of the submarine, tiles are falling off and there are holes. That explains why it had to be tugged. Also, then they show another boat, because it was a boat, a big ship, warship, which, if you were to understand Russian, it's written USSR, Army of the USSR. So it's from the USSR times. I was born when the USSR fell apart, a bit before. Okay, I don't feel as fresh. But watch this video and just pay attention to those little things.
Estados Unidos se preocupa por todo que no tiene que preocuparse. Debe preocuparse por lo que está sucediendo en su país, no en otros países de vecinos a él.
Tugboats and a sinking submarine. Okay. You're protected by Russia. Russia dragged this route next to Cuba to sort of let people believe, who are easily to impress, to believe that we're sort of in that Cuban Missile Crisis, and to draw the parallel between the Kennedy and all of. No. They tugged it back, by the way. It's not there anymore. Then there were fake reports that, there were like warplanes flying back and forth, just all around, Florida Gulf Coast, both sides of Florida. No, also didn't happen. Let's check a comment here. People talk about Biden, but Trump sounded drunk, tipsy, and all over the place. But the media said nothing about it. Absolutely nothing about it. And also, when we talk about tipsy or whatnot, he actually talked about overdose, and he sort of tried to scare the audience. Take a look.
We will institute the powerful death penalty for drug dealers, where each dealer is responsible for the death during their lives of 500 people or more. Mothers will never again be forced to watch their children overdosing and hospitaling. And we will never allow mothers to watch their child hopelessly dying in their arms, screaming, "What can I do? What can I do? Help me, God. What can I do?" We are a nation whose once revered airports are a dirty, crowded mess. You sit and wait for hours and then are notified that the plane won't leave, that they have no idea when they will. where ticket prices have tripled. They don't have the pilots to fly the planes. They don't see qualified air traffic controllers. And they just don't know what the hell they're doing.
If you wasn't running for president, I would be very entertained. If that would have been like a scary Netflix special. How do we go from overdose to planes being delayed? I don't know. I don't know what to comment. I can only praise who commented here asking if he's okay. What the heck of the music? Yeah, exactly. Thank you. To your point, the music, there's a whole production, right? With music, with sweating and excessive everything. God, how did he go from drugs to inconvenience at the opera? I don't know, because he speaks whatever he sees. He just, whatever comes to mind, he speaks. Look, if it would be funny if it wasn't that scary. Let's agree to that. Don't run for president, be an entertainer. I bet you will make way more money than anything on Netflix and running all the shows. Honestly, can even restart Apprentice if that was the thing. I guess that was the best role for Trump. But they also announced that sort of Melania Trump would be used as attraction for LGBTQIA plus community. Not sure how that's supposed to be. Also, she's not volunteering to be part of it. But, you know, it is what it is. And so he finished his speech on an encouraging note, really speaking to people who are full of dignity and no, watch this.
That's supposed to be a little bit Democrat territory, but we're leading in Nevada, and a waitress came over, beautiful waitress, and I never like talking about physics. She's beautiful inside, because you never talk about a person's look, ever. You never mention it. The other day, I got very angry. Some man called Chris Christie fat, and I said, sir, and then he said he was a pig. I said, sir, Chris Christie is not a fat pig. Please remember that. He is not a fat pig. Please take it back. And the guy's looking at me like, really? No, we have to defend people. You can't call people fat. So I said about 9 times, he is not a fat pig.
Yeah. Anyway, so he also introduced his son for the very first time. Also see how it is portrayed, right? All these pictures and the gestures and emotions and whatnot. He introduced him as his successor. And here I want you to, before we start laughing, successor, oh no, we're democracy. No. Take a look at this promotional video of Trump. That was posted by his official campaign. Does it make sense more now when you see Barron being introduced? Because before it was kind of like, you don't guesstimate, to be forever here. But this is the notion. And this is what, North Korea is going through, right? Everybody is a successor. So are we trying to get there? Because that's the impression, at least I'm getting. So, boom, 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 boom. We talk about Barron. So what actually was said at the rally? And I want to quote somebody who I follow, and I encourage you to follow as well. Oh, wrong picture. No, wrong picture. Ta-ta. Here we go. So, No Lie with BTC, Brian Tyler Cohen. I follow him. He's great in dissecting, especially legal issues. So he summarized it at the rally. Trump said that he told NATO allies he wouldn't defend them against Russia. By the way, he also said that he didn't know what NATO was when he was president. He also praised Hannibal Lecter, a fictional cannibal, promised to appoint Project 2025 leader to his administration, but he doesn't know what Project 2025 is. Although Project 2025 and Heritage Foundation are now official sponsors of RNC convention. Okay, promised to round up immigrants into mass detention camps, said he didn't know what NATO was, praised the Supreme Court for giving him criminal immunity, promised to pardon January 6th insurrectionists, praised a self-described white nationalist, played QAnon music. This all deserves more media coverage. Yes, I do agree. So I think at least those summaries we can post. And so people start asking questions. And then I'm asking a question. Can we see a report, a medical report, some type of evaluation, even if it's from February, which everybody claims Biden is very, very late with his physical, because it always happens on February. So why is it not happening now? Can we see a physical from February from Trump? My question. Yeah? Barron reminds me of the kid from The Omen. Am I wrong? Yes. And I had weird feeling here. I really, we used to like the kid, right? Because we not used to, maybe we still like him. He's a kid, he turned 18, whatever. But the point is, he seemed to be the most decent one, or the decent one, just because he was silent. He didn't say anything. We'll see how that turns out when he starts speaking out and, doing stuff, or talking at least. So Biden-Harris campaign issued a statement, because also what Trump did is inviting, threatening Biden to come and beat him in golf and start to have a debate with him without moderators, really just screaming at each other. This would be so fantastic. So the campaign issued a statement, and I had to find it in my emails, and I searched for golf and Trump, so hence the yellowness. A statement from Biden-Harris 2024 spokesperson James Singer on Donald Trump's deranged rally, where he challenged President Biden to a golf match. Donald Trump hasn't been seen in public for 12 days, and now he's inviting fictional serial killers to dinner, teasing Lil Marco Rubio, praising Project 2025 architect Tom Homan, and challenging the President of the United States to golf. We challenged Donald Trump to create jobs, but he lost 3 million. We challenged Donald Trump to stand up to Putin, but he bent the knee to him. We challenged Donald Trump to follow the law, but he breaks it. We challenge him to not destroy our country, but that's all his Project 2025 aims to do. Joe Biden doesn't have time for Donald Trump's weird antics. He's busy leading America and defending the free world. Donald Trump is a liar, convict, and a fraud, only out for himself, par for the course. That's what stated the Biden-Harris campaign. Dark Brandon, again, I'm reading, so it's factual. We're reading everything that has been reported, has been shared by the campaign itself. So now let's talk about NATO. Let me take a look at the comments before they tried to make Barron delegate at RNC. Yes, apparently his mom stepped in, said she didn't want him to do and canceled it. I know. And also she said she won't be really much at the White House and will be with him since he's at NYU. Not sure how that works at NYU. Is she going to live with? Anyway, their stuff. Let's not even bother. Let's talk about NATO. I'm not sure if you followed the coverage I shared, but I want us to really, there will be a clip I'm going to share today, which is 8 minutes. It was a video that NATO played yesterday, and I got the hit clip where they had actual footage from World War II and how the treaty was signed in 1949 and how they defended Kosovo in 9/11, and this Article 5, the infamous one, where if you attack one ally, you attack all. This was developed and created because of 9/11. So they really have a good chronology. It's been black and white, produced really well. So take a look. It's 8 minutes or so. I'm going to upload it to my X account and Facebook and YouTube. So take a look. Really depicts of why NATO is important, what it stands for. Also, there will be some news coming out tomorrow morning that I can't share. Will be in the morning that are around NATO. So first, the NATO allies took the stage, and there was this first family photo, which I found really impressive. So take a look. It's 1 minute.
distinguished guests, the NATO allies. Invités distingués, les alliés OTAN.
Impressive. Somebody check on Putin, because he can get his fellow little dictators right right and left, and here's in the center. Orban was there. Turkey's president was there, who are traveling and to Moscow, having conversations and whatnot, which we will talk about in a second too. This live stream, by the way, takes a lot of time. I will be done in like 15 minutes. Give me the time. We're coming to the juicy stuff. So then the first lady's spouses, partners were introduced. So quick look at this.
Spouses and partners of the NATO allies and partner countries. Invités distingués, la première dame des États-Unis, accompagnée par Madame Ingrid Schuller, et les épouses et les partenaires des pays alliés et partenaires de l'OTAN.
While I'm sharing this, very happy to see men there, very happy to see women in military attire there. And it really depicts how different the countries are. 31, like so different, coming from different backgrounds, historical backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, really uniting to defend each other. Because unless like UN or EU, European Union or United Nations, NATO is defensive. It's a military alliance, really defending each other. If you hurt one, you hurt all. So that's the notion. And then President Biden spoke. I shared the full speech. I encourage you to watch the full speech. Here's a little just a little snippet from the speech. He later also awarded outgoing Secretary General of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, with presidential Medal of Freedom, and was really, I guess, unexpected on Stoltenberg's part. It was touching. I shared all that in that video. But here's a little snippet, 32 seconds of Biden speaking.
It wasn't inevitable. Again and again at critical moments, we chose unity over disunion, progress over retreat, freedom over tyranny, hope over fear. Again and again, we stood behind our shared vision of a peaceful and prosperous transatlantic community. Here at this summit, we gather to proclaim NATO is ready and able to secure that vision today and well into the future.
And then today, Secretary Blinken was the first one who kicked off NATO Forum, which goes right alongside NATO Summit at the same location in Washington, D.C., where he shared the big news that the F-16s are on the way or underway to Ukraine. So take a look.
Well, you heard the president yesterday talk about the work that we've done and other allies have done to put together more air defense systems for Ukraine, notably Patriots, but also many other systems, because we know that's the key to so many things. It's a key to defending Ukraine's infrastructure. It's a key to defending its people. It's a key to defending its forces. It's also key to making sure that we're unlocking the private sector and economic investment in Ukraine that will also be essential to Ukraine's success going forward. But people need to make investments in secure environments. So these air defense systems, we know, have been job number one for Ukraine and, as a result, for the alliance that's supporting it. But this is just part of a comprehensive package that we're putting in place, that we've actually put in place since before day one, to make sure that Ukraine has what it needs to defend itself when it needs it. And I'm also pleased to announce that as we speak, the transfer of F-16 jets is underway, coming from Denmark, coming from the Netherlands. And those jets will be flying in the skies of Ukraine this summer to make sure that Ukraine can continue to effectively defend itself against the Russian aggression.
Long time overdue. Also, Ukraine still, I want to remind you, is not allowed to strike Russian military targets. So cities like Kharkiv, that are at the border and cannot be defended or use any system to prevent a missile attack because it's too short of a distance, and you physically, time-wise, cannot do it. So you have to destroy the launching system or the sites, military sites inside Russia, so you prevent those attacks from even happening. Ukraine is still not allowed to do so, and this has to be discussed. And today, John Kirby was asked about it again. He said, "We are not seeking provocation. We rather give defense system. We rather give F-16s, but we don't want Ukraine to strike." Ukrainians are very upset about it and very pissed about it, deservingly so. Now, if we look at it from the NATO perspective, I understand the notion. Now, is that how you talk to Putin and see, and everybody who's on that side or not, remains to be seen. I understand that people like Blinken and Kirby and Sullivan, we can judge them as much as we want. Because I get the details, I get on the calls, I get on, some calls that are on background and cannot be shared, and I listen to it. But again, I'm on the receiving end, and I can ask questions, and I can follow up and see what I share and, stay factual. But they are talking to such people. So let's give them benefit of doubt of knowing what the hell they're doing, as opposed to what did happen 3.5 years ago. And you can Google, or perhaps you can remember, who was in charge of Pentagon, who was in charge of, security and whatnot, whether those people knew what they're doing and what has been done for Ukraine at that time, especially during the election, especially when Zelensky came to DC, okay, and got himself inside the election trouble, and with Trump, and Trump wanted dirt on Biden in return for the help for Ukraine. So that's where we were. That's where we are today. So let's stay factual and avoid emotions, because it is already very emotional and very hurtful. And I'm Ukrainian-born American citizen. So trust me, from Kharkiv, that is being hit. Also Blinken, this last clip of Blinken, that actually pre-last, that he was asked whether the package here is enough to win the war, because it's been said that Ukraine's, we're discussing the bridge to NATO, and you can watch those clips. I shared them in a thread on my X account. You can see sort of his thoughts and his explanation to that matter. But that's what he says as to whether it is enough.
Packages that NATO is putting forward, is it enough to fulfill that vision for Ukraine to win?
Yeah, I believe it is. And let's talk about two things. Let's talk about what winning means, what success is for Ukraine. And in my estimation, at least, success is a strong, independent Ukraine, increasingly integrated with Euro-Atlantic institutions like the European Union, like NATO, and that is able to stand on its own feet, militarily, economically, democratically.
Yeah. Whether it's enough remains to be seen, because Putin has way more missiles, way more advantage, and way more time. So let's see how that turns out. I want us to catch a little note here that what Blinken essentially said, when they were talking to private investors, they also met with big corporations and BlackRock and whatnot. These conversations were happening a bit of time ago. And so when the notion is that people will invest into Ukraine so Ukraine can get up from its knees and really, upon winning, stand on its own feet and be sovereign and self-sufficient, democratically and whatnot, economically and all of this, politically. The notion is the investors will only invest if Ukraine is protected. And that explains the F-16s, and that explains protecting the territory. So when this is said, now I want you to flip the coin. If this is said from a Ukrainian perspective, if you hear it as a Ukrainian person who's living there and who's suffering and who watches that the kids' hospital with kids who are treated for cancer, it's being hit, and then still you can't target the military, targets inside Russia, and then you hear about investment that has to be protected. They take it personal, and they take it emotional, and they say weird stuff. We see it all over X. And I don't want to judge, because people have been living in the war zone for years now. And they are desperate. They're desperate to win. So when they hear win, they say when. If they hear, help, they say when. If they hear F-16s are coming this summer, well, today's July. When is the summer? So when you see Ukrainians being negative and anti-administration and whatnot, see it from the lens of people who are hurt, who are bleeding, who are desperate, and who are pissed, deservingly so. Now, whether you can explain it politically, I do. I can't explain it politically. I can't explain what Blinken means. I understand how different mindsets work, whether you are in the war zone or you are outside of it trying to help without hurting you, which is very true. As they say, when you fly an airplane, put the mask on you and then on others, right? And that is what's happening here. So we have to also take note. Now, Zelensky gave an interview yesterday. I want you to listen to it. I have a problem with one sentence. Again, I'm Ukrainian, I'm pro-Ukraine, all of it. But I have a problem with one sentence. I'm not sure if you can guess which one. Take a look.
Biden and Trump are very different, but they are supportive democracy. And that's why I think Putin will hate both of them. I think so. But I think that both of them have to understand it, not to count on his attitude. I hope that that United States will never go out from the NATO. Otherwise, the world will lose a lot of countries, because such people like Putin. We will lose small countries which count on America in NATO. I hope that if people of America will vote for President Trump, I hope that his policy with Ukraine will not change.
Now you feel me, I'm a Ukrainian-born American citizen. I'm an American citizen. They're both for democracy? No. When people vote for Trump, I hope his policies don't change on Ukraine. They're vivid. He talks about it. He's not hiding. One thing about Trump is he never hides. He talks. He hides physically, but he talks about the plans. We just heard it. Cuba protected by Russian submarines or whatever that is. Let's check the comments. No, just no. Yes, exactly. Trump is in favor of democracy. Is he serious? What? Yeah, and Sue knows what she's talking about. Hopefully we can get some conversation soon, so you get to meet her and get to know where she's coming from with this. Does Zelensky remember being blackmailed himself by Trump when he was president? Exactly. And that is what really, for lack of a better word, pissed me off today. I understand that he is not part of our election. He is not part of, for him, it doesn't, well, it matters, but for him, he is not part of our conversation here. And if worst comes to worst, if Trump is elected, he has to find common ground and negotiate with him and have a conversation. I understand. But having said all that, why are you commenting? Then don't comment at all. Don't comment at all. The situation is very different. I haven't heard Zelensky commenting on the UK election. I haven't heard him commenting even on the French election. But why are you commenting here, especially to Sue's point? You got yourself into this gutter and hot water last time. You were blackmailed to find crap on Biden in order to get some little help, which was blankets or some shit. So let's just be realistic. And I don't like what I hear, but, we'll see. Yeah? Again, emotions aside, what Zelensky says or whatnot, let's remember who we are helping and who needs our help is this people. This is a person, I don't know, I got it from, social media, so the heart and the hands here. But this is fire department and this guy who rescued kids after the kids' hospital where oncology patients, kids were bombed and targeted by Russian missiles that they said were actually Ukrainian missiles at the UN because they're presiding over the UN Security Council. And to this point, do you want to hear something nasty before we round up? I actually have a good note at the end, but something nasty, disgusting. Yeah? Okay, we're ready. Whoops. So Russia, I just mentioned, is presiding over the United Nations Security Council. To celebrate on July 9th, they had a luncheon where they served Ukrainian dishes, especially one called Chicken Kiev, served with potato something, parfait soufflé, whatever. Chicken Kiev on the day when you bombed Kiev and the kids. This is extra nasty. And I guess you have to understand the mentality why they're doing it. Like, we're eating you for lunch. That's what's happening. Or this is our dishes. Or whatever the notion was, not the right time, was kind of like, ugh. Zelensky also went to meet Johnson today. They had happy videos, sad videos. I found, did a snap of like a medium happy, whatnot. Not sure what he's discussing there. I guess that's where he's finding out that Trump is for democracy. Another comment, oh my God, that is so horrible. Yeah, like this whole, UN celebration is disgusting. It's really below the belt. Now, on a good note, let me, okay, I did everything. Okay, covered. Okay, funny note, this is New York City for you. New York City subway this week. New York speaks, even if it's not verbal or audible. You see it here. It's in the subway. I've seen it a couple of times as well. And another thing is fun video. I found it on the Russian-speaking, I think, Instagram or something like that. So disregard what's written there. It's a video of a 106-year-old woman dancing some traditional dance that went viral. Take a look. Maybe that should be Biden's thing to do. Maybe if he performs this, maybe then the media will be satisfied, which I doubt. But take a look, nevertheless, at the video. It's really cool. 106 years old. Amazing. And so before I share the readout, finally, between Biden, the very last thing, between Biden and UK's PM Starmer. Here's Starmer and the newly elected PM of Netherlands watching semifinals of Euro 2024. It's just 9 seconds. Which ended with penalties and England won. So congratulations, England. But so you know that Euro 2024 also makes it to the NATO summit. That's how they watched it. That's why the meeting was delayed.
Never in doubt.
So something I haven't reported yet. So as per Downing Street, Prime Minister Starmer has underlined that UK's cast iron commitment to spending 2.5, not just 2 that's required, but 2.5% of GDP on defense to respond to growing threats ahead of a NATO summit where he will he said at this point, a step up in defense spending can safeguard the future of the alliance. The PM emphasized his determination to face down global threats to Britain and its Western allies. He said that the increases in spending will help the alliance tackle the nature of today's threats. Prime Minister confirms that he will launch the government strategic defense review next week with detailed preparatory work already undertaken by Defense Secretary John Healey, who will oversee the review. The review will determine the future defense posture of the UK, the capabilities, Also on the trade deal, The special relationship with the U.S. Is also something the new government looks to nurture. Although progress on a free trade deal, which was touted by those campaigning for Brexit, is unlikely to improve. In absence of a federal level trade deal, the UK has taken to signing limited scope deals with individual states. 8 such deals currently exist, the latest of which was signed with Texas in areas such as energy, life sciences, and professional services. So many of Labour's campaign messages focused on domestic issues, but now they are in power. Foreign policy issues are also come to the surface. Starmer has vowed to improve the UK's botched trade deal with the EU, with his foreign secretary calling for a reset in relations with Europe. Shortly after NATO summit, the UK will host a European political community meeting where it says the new spirit of cooperation will be on show. So if you're from the UK or it matters to you, these are, I guess, breaking news. I guess they already broke it. But I'll share it in a post once we're done here so you can share it and take a look. So last things, questions. She's from Bali. Yes, she's from Bali. Very cool. So maybe we can convince Biden to perform such thing. And maybe satisfy the press with a little dancing. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you saw that I'm real. I'm working 24/7. If you have any questions, DM me. Ask. Go on the website, read. I also figured out, because today I was trying to find a post that I did about Biden's schedule, and I couldn't find it because I post so much and all this news. I will launch on Saturday. There will be the first email. How is it called? Schmack? I don't know. Substack. Yes, there will be a thing. You sign up on Substack and then you get an email, I think like every other day or so, with the news that I report, so you can share it and keep track of it. Because I see on X, everything gets through it's threads and it's like all messed up. So I will launch the Substack thing. I'll post a link tonight. Promise you, tonight I'll post a link where you can sign up and just have those emails, and so you can share it. But I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. This was great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You really, it was like a whole evening with me. Olga, you're an icon. Loving her. Olga speaks the real news. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Really do. Thank you. I'm done. It's over. Go have dinner. Go outdoors. If you don't have a heat wave like we have here, enjoy, good weather and have some cool thoughts for us who are suffering from this overheat. So thank you for watching. I'm going to be live tomorrow. Tonight I have to, right now, cover 3 dinners. So there are 3 dinners, if you want to know, at the same time. So White House dinner, there is Secretary of State dinner, and Secretary of Defense. So all 3 of them I'll cover, post updates, and I'm going to rush to do it because it started at 8. Usually they're late, but let's see. And then tomorrow I'll cover the rest. So thank you so much. I'm done. Have a good night. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing.